In a quiet, forgotten corner of a small town, where cobblestone streets wound past sagging rooftops and chimneys puffed faint trails of smoke, lived a boy named Eli, no more than 10 years old, with tousled brown hair and eyes that carried the weight of a life without family. Orphan since he could remember, Eli spent his days wandering the edges of the town, his only companions the stray animals he fed with scraps he scavenged from the market. His tattered coat, too big for his slight frame, flapped in the autumn breeze as he sat on a wooden crate, tossing crumbs to sparrows. One chilly morning, as the sun peeked through a veil of gray clouds, a scruffy puppy with floppy ears and a patchy coat scampered into view. Its eyes sparkled with mischief, and it yipped playfully, snatching a crumb before darting toward the dense woods that loomed beyond the town's border. Eli, intrigued by the puppy's boldness, felt a tug of curiosity. He glanced around, ensuring no one watched, then followed the little creature as it bounded into the underbrush. The woods were a place of mystery, whispered about in town as a realm of secrets, but Eli's loneliness made him fearless. As he pushed through thorny brambles, he heard a soft sob. There, crouched behind an gnarled oak, was a girl about his age, her clothes muddy and her dark hair tangled with leaves. She looked up, startled, her tear-streaked face pale and frightened. "I'm Leela," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I'm lost." Eli, though wary, felt a pang of empathy. He'd been lost in his own way for years. The puppy yipped again, circling them both, as if urging them to follow. Leela wiped her eyes, and Eli offered a shy smile, sensing they were bound by something unspoken. Together, they trailed the puppy deeper into the woods, the trees closing in like silent sentinels. The air grew cooler, and the light dimmed, but the puppy's energy was infectious, its tail wagging like a beacon. Eli and Leela exchanged few words, their footsteps crunching on fallen leaves, but a quiet trust began to form. The woods seemed alive, whispering through the rustle of branches and the distant call of a bird. Eli wondered if the puppy was leading them somewhere important, somewhere that could change the emptiness he carried. Leela, clutching a small locket around her neck, seemed to sense it too. The puppy paused at a stream, lapping at the water, and Eli noticed carvings on a nearby rock as strange symbols that glowed faintly in the dappled light. His heart raced. This was no ordinary adventure. The puppy barked, urging them onward, and Eli and Leela, hand in hand, stepped into the unknown, their fears mingling with the spark of hope. The woods thickened as Eli and Leela followed the puppy, its small form weaving through ferns and over massy logs with a purpose that seemed almost unnatural. The trees towered higher now, their branches knitting together to form a canopy that filtered the sunlight into a soft, golden haze. Eli's boots sank into the damp earth, and he glanced at Leela, whose wide eyes darted nervously at every snap of a twig. She hadn't spoken much since their meeting, but her grip on Eli's hand was firm, as if anchoring herself to his quiet resolve. The puppy, undeterred by the deepening shadows, bounded ahead, its patchy fur catching burrs as it went. Eli noticed how the woods seemed to shift around them, the paths twisting in ways that defied logic, as if the forest itself was alive and watching. He thought of the stories the townsfolk told, the tales of wanderers who entered the woods and never returned, or emerged changed. Speaking of wonders no one could verify, Leela's voice broke the silence, soft but steady. "Do you think it knows where it's going?" Eli shrugged, unsure, but the puppy's confidence was undeniable. It stopped occasionally, glancing back as if to ensure they followed, its eyes glinting with an intelligence that made Eli's skin prickle. As they walked, Leela shared fragments of her story as she'd run from a cruel foster home, slipping away in the night, only to lose her way in the woods. Eli nodded, understanding the ache of being unwanted. He told her of the orphanage, the cold beds, the endless rules. Their shared pain wove a fragile bond, and the puppy seemed to sense it, yipping softly as if in approval. The air grew heavy with the scent of pine and earth, and a faint hum vibrated through the ground, almost imperceptible at first. Eli knelt to touch the soil, feeling a warmth that shouldn't have been there. Leela pointed to a cluster of mushrooms glowing faintly blue, their caps pulsing in rhythm with the hum. The puppy circled the mushrooms, then darted toward a clearing where the trees parted to reveal a stone archway, ancient and covered in vines. Symbols like those on the rock by the stream adorned its surface, shimmering as if lit from within. Eli's breath caught as something about the archway felt alive, calling to him in a way he couldn't explain. Leela clutched her locket tighter, her eyes reflecting the same pull. The puppy sat before the arch, tail still, as if waiting. Eli and Leela exchanged a glance, their hearts pounding in unison. Whatever lay beyond the archway, it was no accident they were here. The puppy's bark echoed, sharp and insistent, and they stepped forward, crossing the threshold into a place where the air shimmered like liquid light. Beyond the archway, the world seemed to shift, as if the woods had exhaled and revealed a hidden heart. The clearing was vast, bathed in a soft glow that didn't come from the sun but from the air itself, alive with flecks of golden dust that floated like fireflies. Eli and Leela stood frozen, their eyes wide as they took in the sight, a grove of trees with silver leaves that tinkled like bells in the breeze, and a pond at the center, its surface smooth as glass, reflecting not the sky but the swirl of stars. The puppy trotted to the pond's edge, lapping at the water, and ripples spread, each one sending a pulse of light through the grove. Eli felt a warmth in his chest, a feeling he hadn't known since he was too young to remember, a sense of belonging. Leela's fingers brushed the locket at her neck, and she whispered, "It's like a dream." But it was real, impossibly real. The symbols from the archway appeared again, etched into the bark of the silver trees, glowing brighter now. Eli approached one, tracing the lines with his finger, and a soft voice seemed to hum inside his mind. Not words but feelings of welcome, safety, purpose. Leela gasped, hearing it too. The puppy yipped, drawing their attention to a stone pedestal rising from the pond, its surface carved with the same symbols. At its base lay a small, ornate box, its lid inlaid with gems that pulsed like heartbeats. Eli's curiosity burned, but caution held him back. Leela, braver now, waded into the shallow water, her shoes squelching, and reached for the box. The puppy watched, its eyes intense, as if it had led them here for this moment. Leela lifted the box, and the grove seemed to hold its breath. The lid opened with a soft click, revealing a crystal orb that glowed with a light that shifted colors to blue, gold, violet. Eli joined her, peering into the orb, and saw fleeting images, a woman's kind face, a man's strong hands, a home filled with laughter. Tears welled in Leela's eyes as she saw her parents, lost to her years ago. Eli saw a family he'd never known, yet felt it was his. The orb's light grew brighter, and the hum in the air became a song, wordless but full of promise. The puppy nudged Eli's leg, its warmth grounding him. Whatever this place was, it held answers to questions they hadn't dared ask. The grove seemed to pulse with life, urging them to take the orb, to carry it forward. Eli and Leela, strangers hours ago, now shared a look of determination. They would protect this discovery, whatever it meant. The orb's light cast long shadows as Eli and Leela stood by the pond, its glow reflecting in their eyes like a shared secret. The puppy circled them, its tail wagging, but its demeanor had shifted, less playful, more like a guardian. Eli felt the weight of the moment, the orb heavy in Leela's hands, its warmth seeping into his own skin as he reached out to touch it. The images within it flickered faster now, faces, places, moments that felt both foreign and familiar. Eli saw a village much like their own, but vibrant, filled with people who laughed and worked together, their hands glowing with the same light as the orb. Leela saw a path winding through the woods, leading to a city of spires that shimmered under a sky of endless stars. The visions were dizzying, pulling at their hearts with the promise of something greater. The puppy barked, sharp and urgent, snapping them back to the grove. The air had grown heavier, the golden dust swirling faster, as if the woods sensed an approaching change. Eli noticed the symbols on the pedestal pulsing in time with the orb, and a low rumble vibrated through the ground. Leela clutched the orb tighter, her knuckles white. "What do we do with it?" she asked, her voice a mix of fear and wonder. Eli didn't know, but he felt the answer lay in trusting the puppy, the grove, the strange magic that had brought them here. The puppy darted toward a narrow path leading deeper into the woods, its spark echoing like a command. They followed, the orb's light guiding their way as the silver trees parted to reveal a winding trail lined with glowing flowers. Each step felt heavier, as if the woods were testing their resolve. Eli thought of the orphanage, the endless nights of wondering why he was alone. Leela thought of her foster home, the cold voices that made her feel invisible. The orb seemed to pulse in response, its light flaring when their doubts surfaced, as if urging them to let go of pain. The path led to a cavern, its entrance framed by roots that twisted like ancient hands. Inside, the walls shimmered with crystals, each reflecting the orb's light in a kaleidoscope of colors. The puppy sat at the center, beside a stone altar carved with symbols that now felt like old friends. Eli and Leela approached, their breaths shallow. The orb's glow intensified, and the cavern hummed with a melody that stirred their souls. They placed the orb on the altar, and the crystals flared, casting beams of light that formed a map in the air, a map of the woods, the town, and beyond. Two places they'd never imagined. The puppy's eyes met theirs, and Eli swore it nodded. This was their discovery, their purpose, and the beginning of something vast. The cavern's light pulsed like a heartbeat, the map in the air shifting to reveal paths that stretched far beyond the woods, connecting towns, mountains, and seas in a web of glowing lines. Eli and Leela stood transfixed, the orb on the altar radiating warmth that seemed to seep into their bones, chasing away the chill of their pasts. The puppy sat quietly now, its role as guide fulfilled, but its presence still a comfort. Eli traced a line on the map with his finger, feeling a spark as it moved, as if the map were alive, responding to his touch. It showed their town, small and faded, but connected to a larger world where light pulsed like a promise. Leela's eyes followed another path, one that led to a city of spires like the one in her vision, its towers gleaming with hope. The cavern's crystals hummed louder, their song weaving stories of people who had found this place before, who had carried orbs like theirs to bring light to darkened corners of the world. Eli felt a surge of purpose. Yeah, he wasn't just an orphan anymore, he was part of something ancient, something that mattered. Leela, too, stood taller, her locket forgotten as she imagined a future where she wasn't lost. The puppy nudged the orb, and it rolled slightly, its light flaring to reveal a new image. Two children, a boy and a girl, standing in a grove much like this one, holding an orb. It was them. Eli realized, his throat tightening. The map shifted again, showing their town, but now vibrant, its streets alive with color and laughter. The orb seemed to whisper, this could be, if they were brave enough. The cavern trembled, dust falling from the ceiling, and the puppy barked, urging them to move. Eli grabbed the orb, its warmth steadying him, and Leela nodded, her fear replaced by resolve. They left the cavern, the map's light fading behind them, but its image burned in their minds. The woods outside seemed different now, less daunting, as if they'd earned its respect. The puppy led them back toward the grove, its steps sure and swift. Eli and Leela talked as they walked, their voices brighter, sharing dreams they'd never dared voice before. The orb pulsed in Eli's hands, its light guiding their path. They emerged into the grove, the silver trees singing softly, and found the pond still reflecting stars. The puppy sat by the water, watching them with eyes that seemed to hold centuries of wisdom. Eli and Leela knew they couldn't stay. The town needed them, and the orb's light was meant to be shared. They vowed to return, to learn more of the wood's secrets. But first, they had a purpose to fulfill. The journey back through the woods felt different, as if the trees themselves were guiding Eli and Leela, their branches parting to ease the way. The orb in Eli's hands glowed steadily, its light casting a warm circle around them, keeping the shadows at bay. The puppy trotted ahead, its patchy coat blending with the dappled light, but its presence was a constant reassurance. Leela walked closer to Eli now, her earlier fear replaced by a quiet strength. She spoke of the city in her vision, its spires reaching for the sky, and Eli shared his dream of a town where no one felt alone. The orb seemed to pulse in response, as if it heard their hopes and amplified them. The woods were alive with sounds of birds calling, leaves rustling, the distant rush of a stream, but it all felt harmonious, like a song welcoming them home. Eli noticed the symbols from the grove and cavern appearing again, etched into random trees or stones, glowing faintly as they passed. Each one seemed to whisper encouragement, urging them to keep going. The puppy paused at the stream where they'd first seen the symbols, lapping at the water before looking back at them, its eyes bright with purpose. Eli and Leela crossed the stream, the orb's light reflecting on the water like a second moon. As they neared the edge of the woods, the trees thinned, and the familiar sounds of the town drifted in. Cartwheels creaking, voices calling in the market. Eli felt a pang of dread, remembering the orphanage's cold walls, but the orb's warmth reminded him he wasn't the same boy who'd entered the woods. Leela, too, stood straighter, her locket no longer a weight but a reminder of her resilience. The puppy stopped at the town's border, sitting on a mossy rock as if to say its work was done. Eli knelt beside it, scratching its ears, and whispered a thank you. Leela joined him, her smile soft but sure. They stepped out of the woods, the orb hidden in Eli's coat, its light a secret they'd guard. The town looked the same, a gray, tired, its people moving through their routine but Eli and Leela saw it differently now. The orb's visions had shown them what could be, a place of warmth, connection, hope. They didn't know how to begin, but the orb's pulse in Eli's pocket felt like a promise. The puppy watched them go, its tail wagging once before it turned and vanished into the woods. Eli and Leela exchanged a glance, their bond sealed by what they'd seen. They would start small, sharing kindness, building trust, letting the orb's light guide them. Back in the town, Eli and Leela moved with a quiet purpose, the orb's warmth a constant reminder of their discovery. The streets felt narrower, the air heavier, but their steps were lighter, as if the woods had gifted them courage. Eli led Leela to the orphanage, its gray walls looming like a challenge. He introduced her to the other children, their eyes curious but wary, and shared the bread he'd saved from his morning scavenging. Leela, though nervous, told stories of the woods, not the orb or the grove, but tales of silver trees and singing streams, her words sparking wonder in the younger ones' faces. The orb, tucked in Eli's coat, pulsed softly, as if approving. Word of the new girl spread, and soon townsfolk began to notice the pair, Eli, the quiet orphan, and Leela, the runaway with a spark in her eyes. They didn't speak of the orb, sensing its power was theirs to protect, but they let its light guide their actions. Eli helped an old vendor fix his cart, refusing payment, and Leela sang for the market children, her voice drawing smiles from even the grumpiest stallkeepers. The town began to shift, slowly, like a tide turning. People shared more, argued less, and the market square felt brighter, as if the orb's light leaked into the world through Eli and Leela's kindness. At night, they met in secret, hiding in an abandoned shed to study the orb. Its visions grew clearer, showing them moments of their own pasts, Eli's mother humming a lullaby, Leela's father teaching her to braid the flowers. The memories hurt, but they also healed, stitching together the broken pieces of their hearts. The orb showed them the town, too, its streets glowing with possibility, and they began to understand. The orb wasn't just a relic, it was a catalyst, amplifying their will to change things. They made a pact to protect it, to use its light to make the town a place where no one felt lost. The puppy appeared sometimes, watching from alleys or the wood's edge, its eyes a reminder of the magic that had brought them together. Eli and Leela worked tirelessly, their small acts rippling outward. They didn't know the orb's full power, but they felt its purpose yet to mend, to connect, to light the way. The town wasn't transformed yet, but it was waking, and Eli and Leela, once alone, now had each other and a mission that felt like destiny. Weeks passed, and the town began to reflect the orb's quiet magic. The market square buzzed with new energy, vendors shared surplus food, children played together instead of fighting, and even the orphanage matron softened, letting Eli and Leela organize a storytelling night that drew half the town. The orb remained their secret, hidden in the shed, but its influence was undeniable. Eli and Leela grew bolder, their bond deepening as they planned ways to spread the light further. They taught the orphanage children to help each other, turning chores into games, and Leela's songs became a daily ritual, lifting spirits in the square. The orb's visions guided them, showing glimpses of other towns, other orbs, other children like them who'd found similar groves and carried their light into the world. Eli wondered if the puppy was more than it seemed, a guide sent by whatever force had crafted the orb. They saw it less often now, but when it appeared, its presence felt like a nod of approval. One evening, as snow dusted the town, Eli and Leela sat by the orb, its glow warming the shed. The visions showed a new path, leading beyond the town to a distant hill where another grove waited. The orb pulsed, urging them to go, to share its light with others. Eli felt a mix of fear and excitement. Leaving meant risk, but staying meant limiting the orb's power. Leela agreed, her eyes bright with the same resolve. They decided to wait until spring, using the winter to prepare the town, to plant seeds of kindness that would grow in their absence. The townsfolk, unaware of the orb, began to see Eli and Leela as sparks of hope, children who'd brought warmth to a cold place. The pair knew their journey wasn't over. The woods had more secrets, and the orb's light was meant for a wider world. As they left the shed that night, the puppy waited outside, its tail wagging under the starlit sky. It led them to the wood's edge, then vanished into the shadows, leaving them with the sense of purpose. Eli and Leela stood together, the orb's warmth in their hearts, ready to carry its light wherever it led. The town, once great, now held a faint glow, a testament to their discovery. They didn't know what lay ahead, but they knew they'd face it together, guided by the puppy, the woods, and the orb's endless light.